This KTM 300cc two-stroke supermoto street legal, it's got an issue with idling. It's not the first time I've had to deal with idle issues, carburetors, all the things like that. First thing we need to do is we need to turn the fuel off. So let's see if we can zoom here. We got the off right there. So if you would turn it like this, that's reserve, that's off, and then this is on. It's a little bit confusing, but off is right there. So now we have these clamps here. We basically just need to swivel. We could take the tank off and go to full extents and do all kinds of other stuff, but really all we need to do is just unscrew a little bit these clamps, and probably only need to do this outside one, but I like to get me just, you know, it's easy enough to get to. I like to get me just a little bit more slack. So disconnect both of them a little bit, and then we'll unscrew this one right here. Just enough to where you're gonna get some swivel action. So if you can swivel the clamp, you can swivel the carburetor. I'm not gonna have enough fuel hose right here, but this rubber hose right here will just pull off. And if it doesn't by, there you go. If it doesn't by hand, you can get little panel clip pliers or something. Now, we should have enough to swivel this carburetor. I don't know for certain. It appears that we're not going to have enough. So this one's gonna make our lives a little bit more difficult. Why is that? Is it the hoses? Sometimes it's this throttle cable up here that just doesn't have enough slack. And it appears that we definitely have throttle cable slack issues. So what we're gonna do about that is, I'm gonna stop. It took me a few moments to fumble around with this thing to remember what was going on. Of course, I've got the zip ties on the hoses and this kind of thing. Now, if you try to twist, I'm trying to get a good view here. If you try to twist this carburetor, it's gonna hit the side of the case where the Kickstarter is. So the situation with this one is we're just gonna try to pop the whole thing out like this and just move it to the side. Now, I'm not making enough on YouTube right now to mount up the camera, so I'm gonna have to just pop it out with both hands and then pick the camera back up again. This is what it looks like halfway out. You see it's halfway separated from here and halfway separated from there, and now I'm just gonna pull it out the rest of the way. Talk about dumb. It's way easier to take the seat off and then the tank off. I mean, come on, there's one bolt underneath here, and then there's one bolt here underneath once you have the seat off, and then there's this bolt, and then on the same other side there's that bolt, and then the whole tank just goes as soon as you get that hose off. So I mean, I'm being an idiot, so just so you know, I have to tell you. Sometimes I tell you, and sometimes I'll let the comments section work. But here we go with the fuel. This is the little sediment bowl right here, and there is some sediment down in there, not a whole lot. I'm gonna clean that out though. And you know, if we get in there, we could get the I probably need a more fine screwdriver than this. Yeah, absolutely. But we're gonna get the idle jet out just like that. Still might not even be fine enough, but it's what I found. Yeah, it'll fit in there. All right. So where's the camera? We got this big one right here that you can see is the main jet, and this other hole that's kind of tucked in here on the side that you can't see, that's where the idle jet is. But I'm gonna stick my screwdriver in here. You pull that out right there. The part that's clogged is that center hole right here, and that's why it doesn't idle. So we go like this. And then we go like this and look at it. We're just gonna look at it. Let me try this again. All right, we're gonna have to probably put a wire through it, but do I have something to hold it? The other thing is we got the spray bottle here, and we try to get a jet spray through it. I'm losing all my bearings. All right, we'll just do this off camera. I don't have enough subscribers yet. Oh yeah. I dropped it like an idiot. That's okay, I got the jet spray right there. Now we'll try it again. Oh yeah, she's blowing good now. That is clean enough. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna fish her back in the hole. Sometimes I get to working and I don't even worry about where the camera's pointed. But now I get to get the other hand and follow it up with the screwdriver. All right, we're gonna get our screwdriver and roll it up into place. It gets snug. You don't gotta get crazy with it. And then we got one last final blowout. And we're gonna have to waste the rest on this sediment bowl. Get that nice and clean. And then I'll get a more full bottle of actual carburetor cleaner to spray up in here. And I'll hit the main jet just to make sure, but the main jet's clear. Now, this is the carburetor cleaner. Now we're just gonna for instance, like that sediment that was in the sediment bowl. Yeah, I'm gonna clean it just a little bit better with a towel. I'm gonna rub a towel in there. But if the stuff like that is kind of floating around, floaties inside the bowl, then that's what I sprayed up in there for. Show you that, but I should have. So what I did was I put it in the flimsy airbox part first. I tightened down my clamp and it wasn't fully seated on this part. So then I took a little pry bar, which is my flathead screwdriver, and I just pushed the carburetor this way after that clamp was tightened, and that pulled this flexible airbox and the whole carburetor over into this. So now it's perfectly flush and seated right there. So now I just got to tighten these two clamps, put my fuel hose on, put these top two hoses back on, and we'll give it a test run. Now, why is this thing so dirty? Well, I haven't cleaned it in forever, but this was a brand new FMF pipe, but the factory loop for the spring broke. And when that happened, I had to ride it home a little bit, and I think I burned up my O-rings. And before I was able to get this makeshift fix, this worm clamp to reposition my spring, I need to replace those O-rings in my pipe, because you see it leaks down, the exhaust gas just leaks out on the cylinder, on the engine, and then down here in this pan. So when I get this thing running, then I'll get it all cleaned up. Now, a good rule of thumb is work on your motorcycle with the tools that you use in your toolkit. Now, I've got a spark plug and a pair of Nip-X pliers there, and I can change the spark plug on the other side very easily just with the pair of pliers. And it would be, you know, I might not need to carry all the little tools if I can do a carburetor pull out just like that with just a flathead screwdriver. And then the rest of it I could get with my Nip-X pliers. I could get these bolts out of the side with Nip-X pliers. So really I would just need to load up a flathead screwdriver in there too. And then I can get a lot of this stuff, man. I'll tell you what, just a flathead screwdriver and a pair of Nip-X, I can get a lot of this stuff loose. So I might not necessarily be able to fit it in there so well, but probably not there, but probably. Really, you don't need to get that one loose. You just need to get this one loose. I said that wrong earlier. You only need to get this bolt on either side and then one bolt in the back here, but you have to get the seat off to get this bolt. So really pulling the tank off, other than that fuel line, it's all so easy. So easy to work on this thing, but I need to rewire it. That's gonna be next. Let me show you this air filter cover real quick, because I put a Audi TT part on it. That right there, I chopped out from the backside and I put those little clips in, and I bolted this air louver in here, because this bike is for the street, so I'm not so worried about you know, getting a little bit of muddy water or something up there like what a dirt bike typically would have to worry about. I'm not worried about all that. Even if some water got in there, I mean, it's not really going to suck it in. I'm not really planning on riding this thing in the rain anyway. I'm pretty much always looking at the weather before I take out the Supermoto. So now it's time to fire it up. So we pull the choke lever up, and then I'll clean it after this. This thing has been sitting, so it should run absolutely amazing now. It should start right up. Did I turn the fuel back on? It's off. The fuel is completely off. So one of the things that you can do to just make sure that your carburetor bowl is filled and going is you tilt the bike over a little bit. And as soon as it starts dripping out of the overflow, am I far enough? Let's go this way. Actually, another thing you can do is just look at the fuel filter, but let me tilt the bike over the other way just to show you. It should come out. There it goes. See it dripping there? It's coming out of the overflow. Now that's not going to flood it. That just ensures that the carburetor bowl is all the way filled. So then we put it in neutral, and then of course I needed to rev it a few more times. But I was seeing if it would idle just like that. But I'll get it going a little bit. I just turned the choke off. That right there, friends, is a perfect idle jet. It's idling just fine. That's a thumper. Yep. It doesn't die. It'll sit there and idle all day. I got this thing dialed in. If I had both hands to work with, if I wasn't holding the camera, I could have modulated the throttle a little bit more, or I typically just take off on it a little bit. But yeah, they're a little bit cold-blooded with the choke, and I had to fill the carburetor bowl back up. But that's just to prove the thing idles beautifully. It's not like I'm trying to sell it or anything. I won't sell it. But I'm ready to rip it again.